Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so grateful that you're here and you found your way to this video. My name's Caitlin. I'm a 38-year-old mom of two boys. I have a 7-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. I'm also a wife and I work full-time as a freelancer in a couple of marketing and sales positions. And I am on a mission and a journey to find and create and bring more ease and simplicity into our lives. It's been a couple of weeks since I shared my first video. My intention was to get really in the routine of recording and sharing these videos weekly, but summer really, I feel like, just started happening and revved up, and before I knew it, we're back into a back to school routine and getting ready to send my oldest back to school. So finding the time to record these videos has been a little bit challenging, but I'm excited for kind of a new routine. So I'm excited to really start prioritizing movement. And I think I'm changing what that looks like for me a little bit, especially in this busy season for me where I'm solo parenting a few days a week. Finding time for dedicated exercise has been a big challenge for me. And I think in my mind, sometimes I have an all or nothing mentality where a workout might need to be, in my mind, 45 minutes or something like that to be really impactful. And so if I can't fit that in, then I kind of maybe might choose not to do it. So really prioritizing, even if it's 15 minutes, 3 days a week, that's something that can be really impactful for me. So I've also discovered that early morning before the rest of the house, or at least my kids, wake up is really the best time for me to kind of do a bit of a reset downstairs in our kitchen, kind of get myself together a little bit and in a good mindset for the rest of the day, and then getting in some type of small workout, whether it's 15 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. And I find that if I'm able to do that, and especially wake up before the kids wake up, kind of do a couple of things for myself, get the kitchen and the house in a good spot. So like unloading the dishwasher, if there are any remaining dishes from the night before, getting those loaded in, starting to, if there's laundry or something like that that needs to get put away from the night before, and then kind of having that space for myself, I feel like really sets me up for the rest of the day. And I work from home, and doing that kind of, make sure that I can start work at the time that I've scheduled myself to start work, and kind of really just lets the rest of the day flow a lot easier, especially if it's a day that I'm going to be solo parenting. Even if my kids are at camp or school or daycare during the day, and I'm working, even if I'm able to kind of get the kitchen in a spot that allows the rest of the day to go easier, it just makes such a big difference. So that's really what I'm trying to do, especially as we're shifting into like a new school routine and getting back into that. So I was able to do that a couple of days this week. And like I said, it's really made a big difference. So of course, in the evening, that means I need to go to bed at a decent hour so that I can get enough sleep to wake up at 5 or 5:30. And I don't want to say failed, but I didn't meet that goal. I'm sure you can relate, but getting into a back to school routine and re-registration for daycare also means like 1,000 forms, getting school supplies ordered or purchased, new clothes, so many things that have to be done. So I've been doing that the last couple of evenings, just so that I can get that off of my plate as soon as possible. So all that to say is I'm looking forward to kind of some new routines and bringing some things back into my life, or starting to get them into my life, even in a small way, to hopefully make big, impactful changes. So today I am digging into our August budget. We're almost halfway through the month, and I just want to go over what I've budgeted for the month, where we're at so far, how we're tracking against what we've budgeted for, and to see, what adjustments or tweaks that we need to make. Last month, was really the first month that I fully used the new personal finance Google Sheet system that I created. And because of vacation and kind of all of these other things, I wasn't as consistent using it as my intention was. So the goal was to kind of track those expenses every 1 to 3 days. So there wouldn't be a backlog of expenses to track. And I think that it just felt like it got a bit messy because, schedules were thrown off and things like that. So I'm excited to kind of start fresh with this month. And I feel like it's already been easier kind of tracking expenses and things like that so far. So let's dive in. All right, so I'm just gonna look at my computer and I'll throw these up on the screen too so you can see them. So let's just go over August net income. So again, I mentioned I'm a freelancer, so I am a 1099 contractor. And that means I need to pay taxes. So when I get paid from my contracted positions, I immediately set aside money for taxes. So I'm transferring a certain percentage into a high yield savings account. And then at the end of each quarter, I'm making my estimated quarterly tax payments. I see a lot of content creators talking about YouTube income or other 1099 income. And I always get worried because I'm afraid folks are going to get hit with a giant tax bill. So I just want to throw that out there. If you are a 1099 contractor, work with a tax consultant, a tax advisor, a CPA, someone that you can, talk with your business expenses and really how to best set aside and pay your taxes so you don't get hit with a large tax bill come tax time. All that to say, what I'm going to be sharing is our net income for August, and this is projected. And so what I do is, since I'm a 1099 contractor, I get paid by the hour, and if I'm not working, then I'm not going to get paid, obviously. So what I do at the beginning of the month is I look at all of the paydays throughout the month, and from there I can determine how many hours about I'm going to be working, and I try to be a bit conservative with that. And then from there I can calculate, what that is going to look like, what's going to be hitting my bank account after I determine, how much I need to take out for taxes. So I did that for August, and our projected August net income is $8,499. This is a 5 paycheck month for my husband. He gets paid every Friday, so that is really helpful. Usually it's 4 paychecks that come through, and that's especially helpful because one of my work payments for one of my contractor positions actually doesn't have a week included in it of pay because of our vacation in July. So just the pay schedule that I get paid with them, it just so happens that, we're affected by that in August from the July week off that I had. So the extra paycheck for my husband is really helpful this month, so we're not losing out on a lot of income. Okay, so $8,499 is what we have to work with. So we have fixed expenses, variable expenses, and then we also have sinking funds that we want to contribute to for savings, investing. So my goal is to contribute to a Roth IRA. And then we also have some debt payments. All right, so let's go through what I've budgeted for the month of August. So rent is $1,650. Gym membership is $90. That includes kind of 2 different gym membership / programs that my husband and I have. Subscriptions is $190. This includes a lot of different subscriptions, and I feel like it's so easy for these subscriptions to kind of almost get out of control, I feel like, with the amount that you have. So this is something that I really want to look at the end of this month and work with my husband to see like what's needed and what's not needed. Random things I feel like on Amazon Prime that we've signed up for my kids, like different channels or whatever they have on Amazon Prime, and some other like random, I feel like, subscriptions. So I'm really working on making sure I'm accurately tracking those this month so that we can revisit those and hopefully lower those subscriptions. This also includes, I'm in Weight Watchers. And when I signed up for Weight Watchers, they had like a special deal for 3 months. And then I think it was 3 months at $45 a month. And so I included my Weight Watchers membership into the subscription. So it's a bit higher than it was in previous months. Internet, $95 is budgeted. Phone, $103. Car insurance is $144. Gas is $189. Home maintenance, I have $25 budgeted. Renter's insurance is $12. Daycare, so with an extra Friday for the month, that means we have an extra daycare payment for my youngest, so that's $1,140. And then life insurance, I have $75 budgeted. Let's move on. So shopping, I have $25 budgeted, and this is a category I noticed, like, as I was tracking our spending so far this month, I feel like I maybe need to define this a bit better of like what shopping is. It might even be more like personal care kind of items. I think that's kind of what I'm finding that's covering a bit. So like soap, toothpaste, toothbrush, shampoo, conditioner, things like that. Haircut. So I'm getting a haircut this month, and then we'll also be getting a haircut for my oldest. So I have that budgeted for $100. Groceries, $1,312. That's a weird number, I know. I try to do a zero-based budget, so that's kind of what I had left over to add to that category. And again, groceries is something that I'm always trying to figure out. I feel like that's something, we have 3 different diets in our house. We're eating a lot of different foods. And so this, I feel like it's really easy for this to creep up for us. So this is something that is a work in progress. Clothes, I have $85 budgeted for. Restaurants, $220. My son's lunch, I have $40 budgeted for. So we haven't gotten the lunch menu yet. We'll see. He really enjoyed buying lunch last year. So we'll see how this kind of affects our grocery spending, because right now I'm packing his lunch for camp, which inflated our grocery budget a little bit. So we'll see if him purchasing lunch, if I'm able to drop down our grocery budget a little bit. Doctor copay, I have for $60. Medication, $30. Buffer, I have $250. So this is kind of, kind of like an extra fund just in case we go over or there's an expense that I didn't think of that we needed to add here. And it doesn't really fit into another category. Kids items, I have $250 budgeted. So that's diapers, wipes, clothes for the kids, things like that. Home items, $150, like laundry detergent, dish soap, hand soap. Doctor's bills, I have $0. Our utilities, our gas for our home, I have $58. Our electric for our home is $179. We had some heat waves come through last month, and it really bumped up our electricity bill because of our air conditioning. And our upstairs also just gets so hot overnight, especially in my youngest room. So that bill is definitely inflated from what it's been previous months. Our car registration, we need to do that this month. I have $115 budgeted. I'm not quite sure exactly what that's going to be. And then we pay our trash and recycling bill quarterly. So that's $93.24. So investing, I have $600 budgeted to send to my Roth IRA. So sinking funds. Okay, so for family, so this is really like back to school supplies and clothes, especially for my oldest. My youngest might need a few clothes, like especially coming into fall. Honestly, he's probably gonna need a lot. He's growing a lot. But this is mainly this month for my son going back to school. So this is supplies and some clothes for him as well. I have $300 budgeted for that. My husband and I, for our joint guilt-free spending, I have $100. And then my husband's guilt-free spending account, I have contributing $100 to that. And then emergency fund, I have $37 for that. Bumping up our emergency fund definitely is something that I want to prioritize for the rest of the year. So obviously this is super low right now. I would love to add like another $2,000 to $5,000 to our emergency fund to be something that I would, kind of consider fully funded. And then debt. So student loans, I have $114 budgeted. We have some like hospital bill payments that we're on a payment plan for. I have $130 budgeted. And then our van payment, $437 budgeted for. Okay, so our expenses. So I have tracked our expenses kind of up to date. And so those are all now populating in our August tab of my spreadsheet. So I'm just going to kind of go through and see where we might need to make some adjustments. I'm looking at our fixed expenses. So we're already for gas for our cars at $125 for the month. I did take an extra trip to my parents' house to visit some family. And so I think that's kind of almost like one extra tank of gas. So that's something that might need to be adjusted like throughout the next week as I kind of track what our expenses are there. Let's see. Everything in fixed other than that looks okay. I'm going over, so shopping. So right now we've spent $39.35 in shopping and I budgeted $25. So that's going to need to be adjusted. Groceries, we're at $6.93 for the month. We have $6.18 remaining. So we have a couple of more grocery trips to make. So, I think that's doable. I definitely think we can stay on track with that, especially with my oldest going to school, probably going to be purchasing school lunch there. So I think we can do that. Let's see, restaurants, we're already at our cap there. So we did help a family member move and kind of got pizza for everyone. So her restaurant spend kind of got inflated a bit. So that's something to watch for and something I'll need to plan for with groceries, like to make sure I have some simple, quick meals that I can make when I definitely don't feel like cooking. Let's see, doctor copay, we're already at $55. I'm trying to think, I know I have a mammogram visit at the end of the month, and I can't remember if I pay a copay when I go to that or not. So that I might need to adjust. I'll check and see if I have a copay for that. Let's see, our buffer, we still have $200 left there. So that's comforting. There's a bit of wiggle room there. Kids items, we have just under $95 left for the rest of the month. I know we definitely need to get diapers for my youngest. Home items, we've only spent $30 so far, so that's good. I paid all of our utilities, so that's showing there. Again, we'll see what the car registration looks like. I haven't invested anything yet towards my Roth IRA. I mentioned in my last video, this is something that I really want to start doing like at the beginning of the month, and same with filling up our sinking funds, doing that at the beginning of the month instead of the end of the month, and really focusing on paying ourselves first. Haven't done that yet, hoping and really wanting to get there. Our sinking funds, our savings buckets, so haven't again contributed to any of those yet. And then our debt, so nothing's come through for that yet. All of these payments are a bit later in the month, like the second half of the month. So I also added in our income that we've been paid so far. So far we've been paid $3,194.80. So I'm just looking at what I've projected like for my income, and everything is right on track there. So I imagine we'll stay on track for the rest of the month. So far this month, we've spent $1,571.06 on variable expenses and $776.07 on fixed expenses. So we definitely still have a lot of expenses to still come out and to be paid for the remainder of the month. But right now, aside from a few adjustments that need to be made and how I'm budgeting, in our shopping category, especially maybe in our gas for our cars, we'll keep an eye on kids items to make sure that doesn't creep up too much. I think we're on track right now. So again, really going to do my best to track our expenses maybe that can even be part of my morning kind of routine as I'm getting in this flow of those kitchen chores that I was talking about. And before I get like a little workout in, maybe I can spend 5 minutes and just plug in any of our expenses that have posted in our accounts, like, you know, the day before. That's going to be something that I'll try. And then it just alleviates kind of being overwhelmed and having to add so many different expenses in. But I'm really liking this spreadsheet so far, and I'm excited to commit to it for the rest of the month. And, you know, hopefully that lets us really stay on track. All right, thanks so much for watching. And again, so grateful that you're here and can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.